Chapter 28. The Cold. Jake shuddered as goosebumps rippled across his skin. Ghent wasn't a corrupt detective anymore. Not in Jake's mind. Not a man with a badge, a desk, and some shady connections. He was something out of a nightmare. A creature that wore a human shape, smiled with human teeth, and walked into offices like a storybook villain playing at being ordinary. The realization had hit Jake like a truck. No law, no courtroom, no judges could stop something like Ghent. All the structures Jake once thought of as safeguards were paper shields against a storm. He wandered the halls mechanically, a boy on autopilot, while his mind watched a monster from far away. Ghent had returned to the office as if nothing at all had happened. Whistling a happy tune, sliding mail into bins, logging into his computer. To everyone else, he was just another man at work. To Jake, he was a predator playing with its food. At his desk, Ghent wore a wide, toothy grin that made Jake's stomach twist. Jake went white as chalk, but kept watching. He couldn't look away. Ghent flipped through files, nodded at coworkers, answered emails, ordinary gestures, hiding the extraordinary horror. "Jacob, you look half dead. You're not supposed to come to school if you're sick. Go see the nurse," his teacher's voice cut through the haze like a knife. Jake didn't answer. He grabbed his backpack by one strap and dragged it across the floor as he left the classroom. His footsteps felt heavy as his heart. In the main office, he sat in one of the hard chairs, staring blankly until a girl behind the desk came around to tap him on the shoulder. She stayed well back afterwards, as if he carried the plague. Why are you here?" she asked, already retreating. "Nurse." His voice came out flat, a void of inflection that matched his hollow eyes. She scuttled away without another word. In his mind, Ghent was still at his desk. The detective's movements were exuberant, childish almost. Jake gagged, remembering Jerome's body being torn apart like a doll, muscles and blood devoured by black tendrils. Tears burned in his eyes as he slid down his cheeks as the school nurse crouched beside him, scribbling a note while she spoke softly. "You're obviously not well enough to be back at school. I'll call your mother to come pick you up." "No," Jake said quickly. "I have my bike. I'll ride." He didn't even notice the nurse's alarmed expression. "You just wait here while I call your parents, young man." He sat there trembling, stomach rolling. In his mind, Ghent turned his chair and looked directly into the invisible camera of Jake's far-seeing. "Jake, I want to thank you," the detective rumbled. No matter how Jake shifted his perspective, Ghent's eyes followed him, twisting in his office chair, appearing almost silly. "I was having such a difficult time tracking down the attuned," he purred. "You found them so quickly for me, just when I was starting to starve." Jake sucked in a sobbing breath. The nurse's voice reached him faintly. "He looks half dead. Are you sure?" she asked whoever was on the other end of the phone call. "Okay, we're going to send him home." Jake blinked at her as she hung up the phone. "Your mother said you can take your bike, but you're to ride right home." She slid a slip of paper onto the counter and stepped back. Jake collected it and shuffled out. "Jacob," Gent's voice followed him as he walked. "How many more can you find for me? Are you going to make it difficult? If I took you now, maybe I could use your powers to find every last one and gorge myself on their spirits." Jake snapped his vision off. He couldn't stand the sight of the man, couldn't even bear the sound of his voice. He stumbled to the bike rack and landed heavily on his knees into the bushes, heaving until there was nothing left. His hands and knees dug into the dirt as dry heaves racked him and tears streaked his face. He felt helpless, scared, weak, worse than he'd ever felt before, worse than any cold. He could do nothing but follow the plan the nurse had made for him. He rode home like a ghost, shuffled inside, collapsed onto his bed. All he could bring himself to look at was the ceiling as he cried.